Hey, welcome back to another episode of No Expectations Video Store. Today's episode we're reviewing the 1982 film, The Thing, directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell. This is a movie I think I've seen years ago, but I don't really remember it. But I do remember just going to the haunted house that's at Universal Studios. And before you go into the attraction, there's actually all these horror movie icon props, and one of them was actually from The Thing, which was really cool because it was a guy laying on a table with his chest bursting out. It was really gross looking, but it really grabbed my attention because it was just stuff that I really like. I love horror, I love sci-fi movies. So I think what this movie's about is about a group of scientists that go to Antarctica, do some type of research, and all hell breaks loose, which I'm pretty sure that's what it's about, but I could be wrong. So let's just go ahead and watch the movie and I'll be back to review it.
Hey, welcome to another episode of No Expectations Video Store. I'm Ben, and today we're going to talk about 1982's The Thing. Okay, so my guess summary for this film, I kind of had a few preconceived notions before going into it, but my guess summary is a small fishing village in Maine gets overrun by this mysterious force that no one can explain. And kind of in my mind I had some ideas of The Mist, kind of mixed with The Blob. So let's go into it, let's check it out and see what it's all about.
So I just watched The Thing, and all I can say is wow, what a f***ing movie. My description was fairly close, but the actual description is about a remote location in Antarctica where a group of research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in this dog, it brutally attacks both the human beings and the canines in the camp, and they discover that this beast can assume the shape of its victims. So a resourceful helicopter pilot, who's played by Kurt Russell, and a camp doctor, who's played by Richard Dicer, lead the camp crew into a desperate, gory battle against the vicious creature before it picks them off one by one. So if that's the synopsis, let's get into the review.
Alright, so I watched 1982's The Thing. Directed by John Carpenter, written by Bruce Lancaster. Correction, the script was by Bill Lancaster. And based on 1951's The Thing from Another Planet. Okay, so I'm just going to say this is one of John Carpenter's absolute best films. And I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, and this one is right up there. And you can tell it was a big budget film, and it was something a little bit different for him, because previously we had seen 1978's Halloween, which was obviously an absolute masterpiece, and he had also done Escape from New York before this film, 1 year before this film, but there was something unique about The Thing, and I think it was a mixture of a very high budget, a tremendous cast, and a little bit more creative freedom.
So The Thing is gory and violent, pretends the end of the world, and ultimately flies in the face of hope. And fun fact, this is actually Carpenter's personal favorite movie. Whether this movie scares you because of its musical score, or whether its creature which was filled with probably enough KY jelly to fill a whole swimming pool, The Thing's sole function is just to do that, is to scare you.
Rob Bottin and Stan Winston were the ones responsible for the special effects, mainly for The Thing. And I think they turned out absolutely incredible. I mean, if you watch this film to this day, the special effects 100% hold up and are absolutely brilliant.
This movie is a horror slash sci-fi masterpiece. And honestly surprised it took me this long to watch this film.
An absolute masterpiece. And what blows my mind about this is upon its initial release in '82, it was met with lukewarm and bad reviews. It was not a critical success by any means. And John Carpenter even said that that film messed up his career. It made him lose work for years, and I can't see why, because it's grown on to be such a cult classic and people love it, and I think it's one of his best films. So, not sure what the deal was with that, but John Carpenter was even quoted saying that had The Thing been a success, his entire career would have been different. He would have been a big budget director, a big Hollywood director. He still went on to be a big director, but he had to work with smaller budgets and do more independent type films. So, it just goes to show, audiences at times, because things can grow on to be cult classics and masterpieces over time once they find their correct audience.
It's filled with to the brim of paranoia and bloody body horror. It generally had like scary and gross moments that maybe you really honestly want to throw up. It was that gross. Big fans of practical effects will actually dig this movie. I know I did. Like, who needs the CGI these days? This movie was way ahead of its time. I wish more horror movies were like this, but most of them these days are actually have to do with the paranormal, which is fine. I'm just kind of getting tired of them, but nothing's better than a good old-fashioned monster movie. This movie was absolutely terrifying, even in its quiet moments. You don't know who you can trust. The casting, the lighting is an absolute cinematography masterpiece. This movie has it all. What are your thoughts, Ben? Did you like the movie? Did you like how Kurt Russell actually almost blew himself up with real dynamite? That's a fun fact, guys. He almost did that. Look it up.
Kurt Russell, man, what a tremendous actor. He really steals the show in this, but it's a whole ensemble cast. I mean, everyone is really good in this film, but Kurt Russell really shines in this one.
So what I didn't like about this movie was, honestly, I liked a lot about this movie. I will say I'm not a big fan of the ending, but I did hear there is an alternative ending that I am going to look up. I heard what it's about, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it over the theatrical ending. So that's something I didn't like. I actually don't like the runtime. I want it longer. I want more. I want more suspense. I want more gore. I just want to see it all. I mean, for what they did was perfect. I just wanted more. So I know they did make a 2011 prequel, but I do recommend skip that movie because it's nothing close to this John Carpenter's masterpiece of a movie. Thoughts, Ben?
So all in all, this one gets a hard 5 out of 5 from me. I'm a big fan. I will watch it again. I'd like the poster from it. That's how much I enjoyed it. Fun fact about the poster art for The Thing. Artist Drew Struzan only had 24 hours notice to come up with the concept and had very minimal details about the film. They gave him a few little details based on it being cold and being a remake of The Thing from Another Planet, but they didn't tell him too much and didn't give him any specifics or visuals really to work with. So Drew Struzan came up with this in 24 hours, and it's gone on to be a classic poster that is instantly recognizable. Drew Struzan dressed up in a puffy winter jacket and had his wife at the time take a picture of him, and then he based it around that. So that is some creative ingenuity. 24 hours and he created a absolute masterpiece of artwork, and he had very little information and very little time. So it just goes to show what you can do with some creative energy.
So all in all, I would probably have to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5 stars. You know what? Scratch that. A solid 5. I haven't had a movie that kept me on the edge of my seat in forever. I highly recommend it. The Thing is definitely not your typical horror movie, but if you're a fanatic of horror and gore, this is your movie. What are your guys' thoughts? What's your opinion? Have you seen it? Do you plan on watching it? If so, as always, leave a comment down below to let us know. And remember to support us on our Patreon and be kind, rewind, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.
Alright, Video Clerk recommendations. If I had to recommend titles that are similar to this film, if you enjoyed this one, I would recommend Alien, I would recommend The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, and also I See You with Sylvester Stallone if you like the Arctic isolation vibe. Thanks for watching, be kind, rewind, and subscribe.